Lyra and her demon moved through the darkening hall, taking care to keep to one side, out of sight of the kitchen. I first read the His Dark Materials when I was young enough that the armoured bears were really the main event. That was the hook. That was the thing that grabbed you. It was bears in armour fighting another bear in armour for a throne. That's enough. That's all you need when you're 10 years old. You don't need existential philosophy when there's a polar bear wearing plate steel. And I loved it. I loved Lyra. I loved Will. I loved the demons. I loved the sense this world was bigger than it looked, that somewhere, just slightly out of reach, there were other versions of everything. Other versions of Oxford, skies, lives, so on. But when you read these books as an adult, it's not the bears you remember. It's the loss. It's the choices. It's the quiet moment where children stop being children that nobody says out loud. But everything changes. Because His Dark Materials isn't really an adventure, it's about growing up. And growing up, as it turns out, is not a victory, it's separation. Welcome to this episode. I'm Darth James. This one's going to go deep. If you like this kind of content, remember to like, subscribe, tell me what you think in the comments below. And if you want to help keep the lights on, you're welcome to consider joining the channel as a member, Patreon, Substack, or just buy me a coffee on Ko-fi. As a kid, the dust is just part of the mystery. It's particles, it's science, it's magic, it's something adults are worried about. But you don't really understand why. As an adult, it's obvious. Dust is awareness. Dust is the moment you realise you exist. It's not psychological, it's something internal. It's the moment you start asking questions that don't have comfortable answers. It's the moment you realise the adults around you don't actually know what they're doing either. Dust settles on adults, not children. Because children live without seeing the world, seeing the weight of the existence in the world yet. They live inside possibility. Their demons shift constantly because they haven't become fixed. They haven't collapsed into one version of themselves. But eventually your demon settles. Eventually you become someone else. And there's something really heartbreaking about that. Because every other version of you disappears. And you didn't notice it happening. It just stops. The subtle knife changes everything, because that's where Will appears, and Will is different from Lyra. Lyra grew up in a world full of magic. Even when it's dangerous, it's still full of wonder. Will grew up in our world. And our world is not kind to him. He's a child, taking care of a mentally ill mother. He's alone before the story begins. He doesn't get to be a child, he gets responsibilities, he gets fears, he gets constant quiet knowledge that everything rests on him and him alone. And that's when he finds a window into another world. It doesn't feel like adventure, it feels like escape. Will isn't curious in the way that Lyra is. He's careful, he's tired, he's already has an understanding of loss that most kids his age don't. And that's why their relationship works. Lyra is chaos, Will is control. Lyra lies as easily as breathing. Will tells the truth because he has no energy left to pretend. They balance each other. Not in some perfect idealized way, but in a very real way people do. They make each other safer. They also make each other braver. And neither of them fully realizes how much they'll need the other until it's already too late to imagine a life without them. The subtle knife is one of the most honest metaphors Pullman ever wrote. I can cut between worlds. It can take you anywhere. It gives you ultimate possibilities. But every use damages it. Every use brings it closer to breaking, which is exactly what chaos does. Every time you choose one path, you destroy another. Every time you become someone, you stop being someone else. The knife doesn't just open a door, it closes that door too. And Will, a child who never asked for this, has to carry that responsibility. He has to make decisions that affect existence itself, and nobody can help him. Because that's what growing up actually is, realizing that nobody else can live your life for you. The land of the dead is not fire and brimstone, it's not punishment, it's not hell, it's quiet, which makes it unbearable. The dead don't suffer in some theatrical way, they just exist, endlessly, without growth, without change, without hope. They sit there and remember being alive. That's all they have left, memory. And when Lyra and Will arrive, they realise something that nobody else has questioned yet. This isn't how it's supposed to be. Not because it's painful, but because it's empty, because it has no meaning to it. And when they free the dead, when they open the world so the dead can dissolve and become part of everything again, it isn't framed as destruction, it's framed as release. They don't die again, they become part of existence itself. Atoms, wind, light, something larger. It's one of the most quietly beautiful ideas in the entire series. Not an afterlife, not a reward, not a heaven, just return. Nothing wasted, nothing trapped. Just continuation in a different form. People misunderstand these books. They think it's about killing God. They're not. It's about rejecting control. The authority isn't terrifying because he's powerful. He's terrifying because he isn't. He's fragile, he's old, he's maintained by systems that need him to exist, and when he dies, it's not this big dramatic ending. There's no explosions. He doesn't fight. He just fades. Which is such a specific, deliberate choice, because Pullman isn't interested in replacing him with another. He's interested in removing the idea that the authority is necessary at all. Meaning doesn't come from obedience, it comes from choice, it comes from kindness, from the small things people do when nobody is forcing them to do it. The ending of the Amber Spyglass is one of the most unfair endings I've ever read. Not because it's badly written by any means, it's beautiful, but because it's honest. Lyra and Will cannot stay together. Not because they don't love each other, but because the worlds have to separate. Because keeping that window open slowly destroys everything. So they have to close them, all of them, forever. Including the one between them. They get one last afternoon, one last conversation, one moment of being children, kind of, together. And then it's over. And the worst part is, they don't try to cheat it. They don't pretend they'll find another way, they accept it. Because they understand what's at stake. They choose the world over themselves. And that moment they stop being children completely. Not when they fell in love, but when they let each other go. They spent the rest of their lives sitting on that same bench in different worlds once a year, not to see each other, but to remember they existed. That they were real, that it mattered. It's devastating, it's perfect, because love doesn't always mean staying. Sometimes it means carrying someone with you long after they're gone. The strange thing about his Dark Materials is it doesn't become a different story when you reread it. You become a different person reading it. As a kid, it was about adventure. As an adult, it was about responsibility. As a kid, it's about magic. As an adult, it's about loss and choice. And that quiet, terrifying freedom of being alive. These books don't confront you, they trust you. They trust you enough to tell the truth. That growing up means losing things that you can never get back. That love can be real, even if it doesn't last forever. And that meaning isn't given to you. It's something you build slowly, painfully, while the dust settles around you and you become yourself.